Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Ishavasya Upanishad. For the last several weeks we have been studying Vidya and Avidya. And toward the end, the great Rishi is advising us to bear, that is, to look at Vidya and Avidya simultaneously, togetherness. Try not to look at Vidya separately and Avidya separately. Whereby different so-called results have been given to us. That is, if we do the Vidya or we experience Vidya, we are reaching to the immortality. And with Avidya, we are passing through the ocean of this life. Hereafter, when Rishi was talking to us, that look Vidya and Avidya simultaneously, togetherness. And in plain words, we were understanding that simply do not look at the abstract portion of the life. And what I meant by abstract is insensitive. You cannot get hold of, cannot understand as to what consciousness is, what is spirit, what is Atma. And in the further sloka, Rishi is talking about that if you just look at the abstract form of Vidya, then you will go haywire, meaning you will reach to a darkness, even further darkness. And why does he say so? Because this is not a matter of study. Understand, very, very important role. Atma, the spirit, the consciousness, is not a matter of study. Because that is what you are. And to experience this, all the tangibility, all the objective world, if you keep denying it, na eti, this is not it, this is not it. And as a result, what will happen? That once when it is so fully convinced in any object, Over the course of time, we have studied that all object has nam, rupa, vyavahar, name, forms, and characteristics. The first of all, as soon as the form comes into picture, whatever and howsoever big it may be, but still it has limitations. While Atma, all pervading. What does the first four words of this Upanishad talks about? Ishavasya Sarvam. In all this, Isha is pervading. So the omnipresence concept cannot be even superficially understood as soon as we think of the tangibility, as soon as we think of some form, color, shape, name. So now, let us see. Last time we studied that the great master is advising us to put together, keeping them together, vidya and avidya. Let's go on to the next sutra, next sloka, and see very, very interesting phenomena. And before even I take you through the sutras, I would like us to review some 3 slokas from Bhagavad Gita. Okay. In this sloka, what it basically says, Udaret Atmanam na va avashadayet. Udaret Atmanam. Udaret, it makes you understand, it lifts you up, it lets you rise. What does it mean by that? Meaning, there is no other friend like your Atma. And here Atma refers to mind, understand that. So mind is your best friend, and mind can be your worst enemy. This is the 5th sloka of the 6th chapter, and here is referring to Bandhu, the friend, Ripu, the enemy. What does it mean? That if you do not observe the mind will take you back into insufficiency. That I want to have this, I do not have this. I don't know this. I don't know Bhagavad Gita. I don't know Ishavasya, so I want to know. And as soon as you start studying it, it is just a study. And study is something like grabbing an object. When you grab the object, it is one more addition to the collection of all those objects. So even if you go through the Bhagavad Gita or Ishavasya Upanishad or Veda, what's going to happen is going to put you into darkness, ignorance, with an awareness that I know Bhagavad Gita. by knowing it, and then applying it and peeling off one layer of onion at a time, thinking, this is not it, this is not it. Neti, neti, neti. That's why, if you do not observe your mind, mind will take you through the ripples, meaning vikshepa, that means rise and fall, like and dislike, happiness and unhappiness. So one has to observe the mind. And what do you mean by observe the mind? As soon as you come to know that certain thing I like, then you have to observe and say, why do I like it? What does mind mean by that? And you're still thinking that you are going to get something that you like. Something is other than you. You see how it becomes your enemy, the ripu. So you have to keep on observing and telling that my body is other than me. It's telling me how to be healthy, how to do pranayama, so that I become healthy. I take care of my body. There's nothing wrong in taking care of this bodily temple. But the temple is a vehicle. This is not you. So utilizing the vehicle, we have to proceed further. So here in this sutra, when it says mind is your best friend and mind is your worst enemy. Again, understand the word ubhaya simultaneously. But then it is up to us to understand as to what really you mean by that. And here, if you look at the translation, perhaps we may get lost. Let a man lift himself by his own self alone, and let him not lower himself, for this self alone is the friend of oneself, and this self alone is the enemy of oneself. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is what we studied. Okay, this is another sloka, and you may think that we are here to study Ishavasya. Why am I taking Gita? But this will help us understanding those sloka better. And in this is talking about what is, if I may use the word is, what is Atma or what is Isha. So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, stanza 41, is talking about yat yat vibhutimat sattvam srimat urjitam va. Yat yat, as and when, whenever, yat yat vibhutimat, vibhuti, very special existence or opulent, means anything in the best possible thing that you find, the most beautiful, the most powerful, the most influential, anything the most inexhaustible. Opulent is the word, please understand the word. Inexhaustible. Whenever and wherever you see, Krishna says, Mama Tejo Amsa Sambhavam. Understand? that I am that or I am there. In other words, without the best and best, that inexhaustible, opulent, nothing is possible. So I love that sloka very much, because even if we may have questions regarding the first four words, Ishavasya Idam Sarvam, we may trust those words, but how would we know that whatever Rishi experienced, but we don't? So as soon as you see the love between mother and child, the love between animal, the love between plants and the birds, fragrance of the flower, lights from sun, light, or the brilliance from a light, anything, because what do we know what is light? We say, oh, it's a wave propagation of what? Why do we see it? Why do we hear it? So anything that you see or hear or feel and put you into aha moment, oh my God, how do I breathe? Why don't you ask that question? You can ask the GI specialist and say, how do we digest? Aha moment. So anywhere this kind of stuff exists, Krishna says, it is a spark of my splendor. It is Mama Tejo, brilliance, existence, that convince you that I exist. So understanding this, as and when you keep walking, you see the cloud coming in, bringing in the rain. You think you bring the rain. And just think how the evaporation of the oceanic water take place. Cloud is formed, clouds are taken somewhere, and the rain happens. When that thing happens, is it ever a possibility that a human can produce or some other agency can produce? That is where I am visibly felt. Ishavasya Idam Sarvam. Mind you, I'm going to take you to this 3 or 4 slokas. Otherwise, you may think, why this sloka even exists? Let me take you to the next sloka. Now, let us go and take just bear with me. Okay. So, okay, let us see now. I'm pretty sure we did sloka number, we have to do sloka number 13. So now, so the last time we were looking at those who worship unmanifested reality enter into blinding darkness, and more than that, those who worship manifested reality also enters into denser or the darker darkness. Okay, andam tam tamaha pravishyanti ye sambhutim upasate tato bhuya eva te tamaha yehu sambhutyam rataha. So what that, briefly reviewing this, he says, andamatama pravishyanti, they enter into the darkness, those who worship reality. That is unmanifested reality. That is the totally abstract form. So those who are worshipping, in plain words, God in the statue form or God in the scripture or the book's form, they are even further in darkness because they understand, they know that they know. And bear with me, please do not feel insulted, but we are studying together. And why am I saying it? Instead of understanding the Krishna as a Isha, that supreme intelligence and that supreme essence that exists everywhere. But what we are limiting is a statue of the Krishna, understanding that this is how the Krishna looks like. But you have not seen, it is somebody's imagination. We were told it is whose amber is Peter, Pitambar. It is the one with a peacock feather on his head. It is the one with a flute. So any time when we think or we bring in a picture, we think that I saw Krishna. So what an illusion, what a darkness. Because it is somebody else who has told us, whereby I'm not saying that don't do this. Do it just for the sake of dharana, meaning just gathering your mind together so that the mind may not wander everywhere. It is okay. But if you just, that meaning when I know that I know, we enter into deeper darkness. And the abstract form, without even realizing that this body appears to be a form of reality, but the body cannot function without the reality. So here, 12.1 we did, and now let us look at the 13th one. As I told you before, here just see 13th one. Anyat eva ahuhu sambhavat, anyat ahuhu sambhavat, asambhavat. Iti susrum dhiranam ye na tata vichakchaksire. What does it mean? Let's understand the translation. By meditating on the manifest. Manifest means some tangible. Definitely a different thing is obtained. Meaning you get chance to appreciate whatever manifestation has taken place. Our body is also a manifestation. So it's not that it is useless, but some result is obtained. A different thing is obtained. And by meditation on unmanifest, something else is obtained. That is what they say. They meaning who? The seers, the Rishi. And the word Dhiranam meaning those who are wise, who are peaceful, blissful, who have experienced those great seers, Dhiranam. And that is what is said. So we will be taking 2 or 3 slokas together. So here, this is our word by word translation is, yeah. Anyat, other fruit. Fruit is just some result. Eva, that this is, ahu, told, sambhavat, by expansion, by realizing, by manifesting, and asambhavat, by sambhavat, existence, restriction, and asambhavat, unmanifested. Anyat, differently. Iti, similarly, Susrum, heard, Dhirana, from the wise man. We have heard from the wise man that if you look at, if you contemplate on manifestation, some result is obtained. And what is that some result that we talked about for dharana, meaning gathering the mind together? But then do not only remain in dharana, do not keep on thinking of Krishna or Christ. As soon as you see, even dream of a cross, and you think that, oh, you saw Christ. No, this is just the play of your mind. Your mind has seen the image of Christ, image of Krishna, and that your mind is telling, oh, I saw God. But what we are truly missing is the spirit that indwells in you is God. So understand the difference between sambhavat and asambhavat by manifesting and by not manifesting. So, but here he says different results are obtained, different experiences experienced. This is what the wise man said. So here, further, it doesn't say that you don't do this. Do not worship formed form, meaning cross, Christ, statue of Buddha, statue of Krishna. Do it. But don't think that that is it. It is a form, it is a tool to bring you into this. But tool is not the essence. And how easily we'll get lost is, as soon as you think that you saw Christ or Krishna, you will know that the Christ and Krishna is other than you. But later on, as the sloka proceeds, it explains that the one that we call Christ, instead of Christ, understand Christness. Instead of understanding Krishna, understand Krishna-ness. And in the further sloka, it explains what is that. Wherever you see opulence, wherever you see the best of best, wherever you experience unexplainable, I exist. I meaning who? The supreme reality. In that unexplainable situation, you don't have to go anywhere to find it or to witness it. It's you yourself. You yourself cannot be explained. And the Sanskrit word is agyeya, unknowable. So now understand why the Didana, why the wise man is talking about that manifested gives you one result and unmanifested gives you another result. But then how do you reconcile this apparently different and contradicting looking practices of vidya and avidya? Dear friends, if you don't understand, don't worry. The plain, if you read the translation, you may very well understand, oh yeah, I understood now. Both gives different result. But apply in your real life and try to study as to what are those differences. And the last time when we were talking about, I did not mean to say that you become atheist. At the same time, I'm also not saying become theist. Keep atheism and theism simultaneously. Remember manifested and unmanifested side by side. Remember the vidya and avidya side by side. And in the previous sloka, not previous means 12, but in the previous sloka it says that avidya takes us across the ocean of life, while vidya takes us to realm of eternity, realm of immortality. Because at that time, we are so fully convinced that we do not die. Only the death happens is with the body. So when you don't die, dying in Sanskrit word is mruta. And means not amruta, immortality. That is when, after practicing neti, neti, naiti, and contemplating and going deep into meditation, and you come to realize that you have a body, you are not the body. And that experience is indescribable. And that is what the word Dhiraram, wise men, said. Let's look at this loka 14th. I'm not jumping on it, but these all couple of those, they go together simultaneously. Here it says, Sambhuti cha vinasham cha yaha tat veda ubhayam saha. Ubhay word we have studied before. Vinashena mrityum tirtva vidyaya amrutam asnute. Amrutam, the word we just now touch upon. Mrita means die, decay, death, undergoing. And mrutam and amrutam, immortality. So what does this loka says? Let's read this. He who knows impersonal God and the personal God both as one, that's why one is capital, overcomes death through the personal God and obtains immortality through the impersonal one. And that we just touch upon, that personal God and your personal body. Through the personal God, you worship in such a manner, you think of the form and realize that this form will die. So you will, what he says, he who knows that the impersonal God and the personal God both as one, overcomes death through the personal God, understands what the death is. Because any form that needs to go. Meaning, if Ishavasya idam sarvam, if it were to exist all the time, then do you see, feel, experience, witness the form of God, meaning either statue or symbol or picture? It does not happen 24/7. So it takes you, it gives you the feeling of transition. It gives you the feeling of mortality. It gives you the feeling of disappearance. And as a result, he says, overcomes death through the personal God. And when you go beyond and you start seeing opulence everywhere, and whenever and wherever you see opulence, the excessive beauty, Krishna says that is where Mama Ansa Sambhavam, my ounce, my brilliance, my light, my presence is felt. So understand, as you're walking by the Mother Nature, and you see, you feel the grass underneath your feet, the sensation that happens, that sensation is not because of the feet, it's not because of the grass, but the power that translates the touch of the grass through your feet, through your nose, converts via Vyana to an electromagnetic field, and your mind and yourself experience this. When you start observing this and experience, that time Mama Tejo Amsasambhavam. Now you know why did I take that sloka and why do I like that sloka. Yet vibhuti mat. Like those 4 words of Ishavasya. Ishavasya idam sarvam. And that's exactly what it says. Yet, as and when, as and where. Vibhuti. Bhuti means existence. Vibhuti, very special existence. That means opulence. That means the beauty. When that thing exists, Mama Tejo Amsusambhava. See how powerful it is? While Ishavasya says, Ishavasya idam sarvam. Even though we are touching the 14th sloka, but somehow or other, I cannot go past those 4 words, Ishavasya idam sarvam. And you see how Bhagavad Gita and any other scripture brings us to that clarity. And that is how, see the word impersonal God, personal, identifiable, tangible. So, and another important point that I would like to bring it to you. If you take Krishna, if you take Buddha, you take Christ, and whosoever, Allah. But then who made those? Who made Christ the Christ, Allah the Allah, Krishna the Krishna? Why do you ever ask? So that intelligence, that energy, Isha is intelligence and energy put together. That is Siddhanta and Shakti. So now you will understand both have purpose. But since we all have grown and we are learning more, simply do not hold on to the tangibility. Do not simply hold on to the tangibility. When you reach to the state of silence, just stay there. And in the state of silence, neither you are there, nor is the God that you made him or her to be the God. You were born in Christian family, so you worship Christ. You're born in so-called Hindu family, so you may be worshiping Krishna around. And if you were born in the environment of Buddhism or of Islamic tradition, then you will be worshiping so-called that entity that we understand. But then take that as an avenue, take that as to collect your thoughts of your mind to a point and keep on observing that point. So a stage may reach and that object, understand now I'm calling it object. The statue of Krishna, the cross, the picture of Christ, picture of Allah, Kaaba, whatever you call it, or Buddha, they are still the object. It has a shape, it has the color, it has some characteristic of a belief. But when you see the opulence, when you see the inexhaustibility, when you see the eternity, when you see the infinity, infinite, infinitism, maybe my word, who knows. But when you see this, when you experience this, at that time, you are beyond your body. When you're beyond your body, you're not restricted by your body. And that is infinitism. That is immortality. That is moksha. That is freedom. As if, and I'm saying as if you are a bird and flying in the sky. Whichever branch you sit on is yours. It's not that your house is your house only. So, limitations. And if you identify yourself to be, say, Dr. such and such. So first of all, what you are a doctor. And you cannot be a cook or a laborer or a god or a priest because you are a doctor. Limitations. And then when you say, my name is Dr. James Root, all right, then only you are not only the doctor, but you are James Root. Limitations. But when you are in a deeper state of meditation, you are neither a doctor, nor you are Dr. James Root. Then who you are? You are nobody, and still you are everybody. You are nothing, and you are everything. Appears to be paradoxical, but as soon as you reach to the state of sunyam, nothingness, and then during the nothingness, when you reach to the state of everythingness, Ishavasya idam sarvam, sarvam, these all. When you reach to that point, do you have any boundary? Do you have any limitations? Do you have any name? Do you have any form? Do you have any characteristic that you can be doctors only? You are. What you are, you don't know. And you are still everything. So, sunyam and purinam simultaneously exist. So understand this, this is not Upanishadic wisdom, is not, and I heavily emphasize, it's not a religion, but it opens you up to a larger reality. If you are a Christian, you will be a better Christian. If you are an Islamic tradition, you will become better Islamic. But Buddhist to Buddhist, so-called Hindu to better Hindu, Jain to Jain, Sikhism, Sikhism, all ism. But then you go beyond and understand all ism is a limitations. Because if you ask Buddhists, they will not say that I am Christian. And so likewise the others. So the limitations. And as soon as even people go, oh no, I don't believe in anything, I'm just a human being. That is also the limitations. You exist as human, granted. So that means you are not cosmic manifestation. like a plant, insect, animal, birds, space, mountain, water. Understand how even the word human brings us limitations. And as soon as you bring the word human, or categorize yourself to be, and that is a little wider category, very good. But again, that is limitations too. Upanishad talks about expansion to Akash, limitlessness. Akash. And the Akash word is not that simple and easy. Once you are in the sky, you don't know where you are. When you are in the sky, how can you say you are high or low? You are left or right? You are east or west? They are all related as compared to certain predefined boundaries. And boundaries are limitations. So the word Akash is ever expanding reality, an ever expanding reality. There's a beautiful Sanskrit word called Brahma, Brahman, Brahma, ever expanding reality. And mind you, don't say that why Brahma is still a word. Yes, it is a word. Something we need to communicate and to explain to us. Remember in the previous sloka we heard the word Dhiranam, those wise men. They use certain word to convince to us, but whereby he says, do not believe in any of this word. Let your own experience tell you. And if your experience tell you that sun is cold and the moon is hot, does not matter. It is your experience. And once we start having it, and once we follow certain guidelines by those dhirana, by the sadhus, what a guidance it will give us. What a beautiful Upanishad is this, Ishavasya, Idam Sarva, Ishavasya Upanishad. The word Isha. And Isha can be Krishna, Isha can be Christ, Isha can be Buddha. Isha is you, Isha is me, Isha is a bird, it's the sky, it's earth, it's everything is Isha. So anytime when you walk around, you're walking out looking at the sky. Mama tejo ansa sambhavam. Think of that beautiful sloka. I am everywhere, omnipresence. It's not that difficult. But we are so busy in looking at the different objects, our body, and other object, which item is in cell, who is coming as a president, whosoever is coming. Why don't you realize the president of all presidents and the best of all best? And understanding this kind of observation, meaning who is coming as a president, who is not coming as a president, what kind of other things is happening, where is fire and whatnot. Our mind is so focused. Mind is going to an object, bounded object, and we are concerned. Hope that fire doesn't burn my house, my house, limitations. So today, dear friend, let us learn the word opulent, infinite, infinity, and vidya and avidya simultaneously. Let us convince ourselves that be careful. Understand very important suggestion. Anything that brings you boundary, anything that brings you the limitness, try to tell yourself very softly, I do not want to be limited. So whether you follow yogic practice, and in yoga there are thousands of yoga practices and different names are coming. But if any practice brings you back to I-ness and my-ness, mean my yoga and not your yoga, stay away from it. The word expansion is our life, and that's the purpose of our life. Expansion brings you peace. Expansion brings you compassion. Expansion is love. Without love. So powerful is this. And when we'll, next Thursday, when we'll study the following sloka, the 15th one, oh my God. That thing, I don't know how long will it take us, because still understand, we haven't gone past the first 4 words, Ishavasya Upanishad. Each one of the subsequent following sloka are just qualifying, take us back to those 4 words. And by now, by me uttering those words so crazily, every one of you are also uttering the same craziness, Ishavasya Upanishad. How powerful are those? And once you understand how powerful are those, then you feel like, what else do I want to know? Because everything is being taken care. And when you say everything is being taken care, let me share with you a nice little story. And if I overrun by a minute or two, pardon me. And this story is a gentleman, a very poor man, when his wife was undergoing some surgery and he had to pay heavy medical bill, had no resources. So during the state of his silence, he felt, well, who am I to worry about it? He goes to a temple and sits in front of statue of Shiva or anybody. And at that time, he's saying that, why am I worried? And it's morning 3 o'clock. One industrialist was thinking the life is so empty. I have all the money. What am I to do? And he goes on for a walk in the morning. And he found the light at the end of a long street. And he said, what is it? He goes there to the temple. And in the temple, that man was sitting. He never knew that at this crazy 3 hours, somebody can be there. But when he was there, he said, what are you doing? And the guy said, what are you doing? And he says, I'm just bringing to, you can call it my God, or I'm bringing to Isha. I want to see before the morning happens and I go to the hospital to see my wife, I have first to pay the bill. And that's why I'm here, because I know Ishavasya Upanishad. He's the one who will be providing me. And the other person, but why are you here? And he says, I have all the money that one I think of, but I feel so miserable. I feel so left out. I feel like without love. But he said, don't worry, sir. You don't have to worry about your wife's surgery bill. Here I'm giving you the money. And not only this money, but in case you run short, let me leave my address with you. Just come anytime. Nobody will ask you any question, and all the expenses will be taken care of. That poor man did not even ask for or did not even care to take down his address. Can you imagine this? So at that time, again, the rich man says, don't you want my address? And guess what? This is the punchline. The guy says, why do I want? I will take your address, but why do I want your address? If I have only one address, and that is the address of this divinity, why do I need any other address? It was he or she or it who sent you here. And it also sent you here to find the solution of joy that money is not in holding, but just distributing to the needy. You are not the money holder. You are not the money owner. Ishavasya Upanishad. I have that address so that I need no other addresses. And that experience will come, and from within, who do you think helps you? Sometimes a married girl thinks that my husband will take care of me. Children will think that my parents are taking care of me. A businessman thinks that I am the one who is taking care of all the employees. But understand, the conviction of that poor man that having had that, I need nothing. I have his address. And it is he who manages. When that confidence is reached, dear friend, you need nothing in the life. Hayom. Let us enjoy the Shanti part and we'll end today's session. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti